There is a silent moment before a civilization collapses when the smartest people in the room stop talking, not because they've been silenced, but because they've realized no one is listening anymore. In that vacuum of wisdom, something sinister happens. The idiots finally find their voice, and when idiots take control, empires that took centuries to build crumble in decades. Have you ever felt that disturbing sensation of watching absurd decisions being made by people in positions of power? That moment when you think, how did someone so unprepared get here? It's not paranoia. It's the unconscious recognition of a pattern that has repeated itself for millennia. History isn't just a succession of random events. It's a mirror reflecting the same tragedy under different disguises. Rome didn't fall because the barbarians were stronger. It fell because the Romans themselves stopped valuing competence and started celebrating mediocrity. When an empire begins promoting people based on loyalty instead of capability, on empty speeches instead of concrete results, the doomsday clock starts its countdown. Think about the absurd complexity of keeping a civilization functioning. Every water system, every law, every trade treaty, every technological innovation is the result of generations of brilliant people solving incredibly difficult problems. Building is slow, meticulous, requires accumulated wisdom, but destroying is fast. And it doesn't require intelligence, just arrogance and ignorance working in perfect harmony. Incompetence installed in power is like an autoimmune disease. The system starts attacking itself, confusing parasites with healthy cells. The ancient Greeks had a fascinating word for this: Kakistocracy, the government of the worst. It's not democracy, it's not autocracy, it's something far more dangerous because it disguises itself as functional while rotting from within. Aristotle warned that every society has a cycle. It's born with visionaries, matures with builders, ages with maintainers, and dies under the command of unconscious destroyers. The problem is that these destroyers never see themselves as villains. They genuinely believe they're doing the right thing, because the defining characteristic of the idiot isn't lack of intelligence, it's the illusion of competence. The dangerous idiot isn't the one who knows he doesn't know. It's the one who doesn't know that he doesn't know and acts with the confidence of someone who does. Can you see this happening around you? In meetings where the loudest person wins, not the wisest. In elections where superficial charisma trumps deep competence. In the gradual replacement of experts with influencers, of thinkers with entertainers. This isn't an accident. It's the symptom of a civilization that stopped asking the most important question: who should really be in charge? And here's the hook that will change everything you think you know. What if the problem isn't just who's in power, but the fact that we, collectively, stopped knowing how to distinguish wisdom from noise? The uncomfortable truth is that civilizations don't collapse just because idiots take control. They collapse because intelligent people allow it. There is a specific moment, a historical tipping point, where the competent make a silent choice, either fight against the rising tide of mediocrity or retreat into their own private worlds, leaving the cultural battlefield to those who have no qualification to be there. And when the wise choose silence, fools inherit the narrative. That's how Rome elected Nero. That's how advanced nations regressed centuries in just a few years. Not through elaborate conspiracies, but through cultural erosion, through the gradual replacement of meritocracy with popularity. You know what's scary? This doesn't happen, obviously. It's not a military coup, it's subtle. It starts with small concessions. Oh, it doesn't matter so much if he doesn't understand economics, as long as he's charismatic. Or, sure, she has no experience, but she represents change. Change to what? Nobody asks. Because in decadent societies, the symbol replaces the substance. The appearance of competence becomes more valuable than actual competence. And when you live in a world where image is worth more than content, you've created the perfect environment for idiots to thrive because they're masters at performance and terrible at execution. History is full of civilizations that literally forgot how their own technologies worked. After the fall of Rome, Europe lost the knowledge of building aqueducts, of making concrete that lasted millennia, of organizing cities with efficient sanitation. Why? Because when you replace engineers with politicians, scientists with rhetoricians, builders with commentators, technical knowledge is lost in a single generation. You don't need to burn books when you can simply create a culture that doesn't value those who read them. And here's where this gets personal, where your life connects with this millennial pattern. Have you ever felt that you're being governed by people who wouldn't understand your job if they spent a day doing it? That the decisions affecting your life are being made by individuals who never lived their consequences? This feeling is no coincidence. It's the intuitive recognition that something fundamental broke in the leadership selection system. Because in a functional world, whoever governs miners should understand mining. Whoever decides health policies should understand medicine. Whoever commands armies should have been in battles. But in decadent civilizations, these positions go to those with better connections, not better qualifications. If this idea has already resonated with you, imagine what comes next. Subscribe not to miss this journey, because what I'm about to show you now will completely change the way you see the world around you. The great illusion they sell us is that this is democracy working, that anyone can be anything. It's a beautiful lie, but it remains a lie. Plato warned 2,400 years ago, democracy not guided by wisdom inevitably degenerates into tyranny, because when you treat all opinions as equally valid, you've just equated expertise with opinion. An epidemiologist's opinion about pandemics isn't worth the same as an Uber driver's, just as my opinion about neurosurgery is worth nothing compared to a neurosurgeon's. But in societies that confused political equality with equivalence of knowledge, this distinction disappeared. And when it disappears, you have exactly what we have: people making decisions about things they don't understand, affecting millions of lives. The collapse doesn't come in a day, it comes in layers. First, you normalize incompetence. Oh, every politician is corrupt anyway, whatever. That resignation is the first step. Then you celebrate anti-intellectualism. These experts think they know everything. You transform knowledge into elitism. Third, you create a culture where questioning incompetent authority is seen as disloyalty. And finally, you reach the point where the very idea of meritocracy becomes offensive, where suggesting that some people are more qualified than others for certain functions is considered prejudiced. At this stage, collapse is no longer a question of if, but when. You want to know the secret that separates civilizations that survive from those that disappear? It's not technology. The Mayans had advanced astronomy. It's not wealth. Rome was immensely rich. It's not military power. Persia had the largest army in the ancient world. The secret is institutionalizing error correction. Resilient civilizations create systems where idiots can be removed from power before causing irreversible damage. They develop filters, checks and balances, genuine meritocracy. But there's an even deeper secret that few know. These structures only work if the general population values competence above emotional comfort. And here we arrive at the heart of the matter, at the point that will either free you or destroy you, depending on what you do with this information. The real problem isn't the idiots in power. Idiots have always existed. There will always be unqualified people aspiring to positions they're not qualified for. The real problem is a population that lost the ability to recognize competence because it was trained to value other things: charisma, tribalism, identity, simplistic narratives that make emotional sense but are factually absurd. When you train a society to make decisions based on how something makes you feel instead of whether it works, you've created a population of well-intentioned idiots who will consciously choose collapse because it comes wrapped in comforting language. The revelation that changes everything is this: You are part of the problem or part of the solution, and there is no middle ground. Every time you share information without verifying, every time you choose emotional comfort over inconvenient truth, every time you defend someone incompetent because they're on your side, you're adding another brick on the path to collapse. And every time you choose truth even when it hurts, competence even when it's uncomfortable, evidence even when it contradicts your beliefs, you're being the antibody that keeps civilization alive. History shows us something fascinating. Empires are never destroyed from outside until they're first destroyed from within. Rome didn't fall to the Goths. It was already internally dead when they arrived. The Soviet Union wasn't militarily defeated. It imploded under the weight of its own contradictions. Civilizations aren't conquered. They surrender, slowly, one concession to mediocrity at a time. And the scariest part? This process is often led by the very elites who have the most to lose from collapse, because they confused maintaining their positions with maintaining the system that gives value to those positions. You want to know why this matters now, at this specific moment in history? Because we're living at a civilizational tipping point. The next 2 decades will determine whether human technological civilization continues ascending or enters terminal decline. And that decision won't be made by politicians or billionaires. It will be made by ordinary people in millions of small daily choices: who you pay attention to, what you value, what standard you accept. When you watch idiots being celebrated and remain silent, you voted. When you see competence being attacked and don't defend it, you chose a side. Here's the final truth, the one that liberates and terrifies at the same time. Civilizations collapse when idiots take control because intelligent people decided it was more comfortable not to get involved. The idiot in power isn't the cause, it's the symptom. The cause is a population that gave up demanding excellence because demanding excellence requires effort, discernment, courage to be unpopular. It's easier to go with the flow, agree with the consensus, not make waves. But that ease has a price, the extinction of everything you value. So here's your choice, clear and straightforward. You can continue living as if this isn't about you, as if history is something that happens to other people in other times. Or you can wake up to the reality that you're living in a historical moment, that your choices matter, that the future isn't written. Every civilization that collapsed had people like you watching, knowing something was wrong, waiting for someone to do something. And then there was no more civilization. The question isn't whether civilizations collapse when idiots take control. They do collapse. The question is, will you be the useful idiot who allowed it, or the courageous voice that refused silence? Because in the end, history doesn't remember the spectators. It remembers those who acted when there was still time. And the time is now. It always was now. If this message touched something deep in you, if you felt the urgency of this truth, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to wake up, leave your comment about how you'll be part of the solution, and subscribe to this channel because this journey of consciousness is just beginning. The civilization we save may be our own,